Okay, let's see if we can finish this thing. Number 30. We have two chords that intersect inside the circle, and our formula for that is piece times piece equals piece times piece. So I'll have the 15 times the 12 equal the 18 times the x. That makes 180 equals 18x. And if I divide by 18, I get 10. Pretty easy. On this next one, I have a tangent and a secant coming together. So this is the formula. Tangent squared equals whole times outside. So tangent squared, x squared, equals the whole piece, 18, times the outside, 8. That makes x squared equals 44. And if I square root both sides, I get x equals 12. So 29, 30, 31, not too bad as long as you know the formulas. Okay, in this problem, we are told that EH and GH are tangents to circle F. And remember, where the tangent segment meets the radius, it forms a 90-degree angle. So where the tangent segment meets the radius, it forms a 90-degree circle. It tells me that FE is 6, tells me that FH is 9. I want to find x, so it's Pythagorean theorem time. So x squared plus 6 squared equals 9 squared. Work that out. Boop, 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 boop. And you get it to be about 6.71 if we round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, number 33. Looking at our circle here, I'm trying to figure out the measure of angle x. So I can see this angle right here has its vertex inside the circle. It's not at the center, but it is inside. So since it's inside, I find the angle by taking half of arc plus arc. And if I think of this as a whole x, then I take half of this arc plus this arc, and the 95 is actually the angle, so 95 equals half of x plus 84. And then I get rid of my 1/2 by multiplying both sides by 2, and so that makes 190 equals x plus 84, and if I subtract the 84, I get 106. Okay, flipping our page. Okay, this one, a little more complicated here. So, I'm told that the measure of arc BC is 4x plus 4. I'm told that the measure of angle EBC is 4x minus 8. And I'm told that BC is congruent to AD. Okay. So you also see some other things marked on my picture. You can see that CE is a radius, BE is a radius, EA is a radius, ED is a radius. So all those are the same length, which is why I have one tick mark on all of them. You can see that these two triangles are actually congruent by side, 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 which I just made a comment about that right here, that those two triangles are congruent by side, side, side. And then another thing that's important is, since I know these two sides are congruent of the triangle and these two sides are congruent, this is an isosceles triangle. And remember that the angles across from the congruent sides make congruent angles. So these two angles are congruent. These two angles would be congruent. And I know these two angles are the same as these two angles. So I just blew up this triangle over here. Okay, first of all, since these two chords are congruent, I know that this arc is the same as this arc. And this arc, since it's 4x plus 4, I know that's the same thing as angle E. Angle AED, this is a central angle, and since this is a central angle, it equals whatever the arc is, and since the arc is 4x plus 4, then my angle AED is also 4x plus 4. And then I know that these two angles are the same. because they're the angles across from the congruent sides. And then once I know that whenever you have a triangle, your 3 angles inside all add to be 180. So I set up my angles, added them together to equal 180. I just go through the solving equation process, and I get x to be 16. It wanted to know the measure of angle EAD though, EAD, so I plug my 16 into that x right there, and then that makes 56. So this problem is a little confusing, so I'm just going to talk about it just a little bit more. Since these 2 chords are congruent, I know these 2 arcs are congruent. And then because this angle, AED, is a central angle, I know it equals whatever the arc is. And if the arc is 4x plus 4, then I know that this angle is 4x plus 4. So that's where that came from. This part was told to me in the problem, that angle is 4x minus 8. I know that those 2 angles are both the same. That's how I knew they were both 4x minus 8. And then I just work it out. Okay, here we go. On this one, we're told that KG has a length of 30, and I know whenever I have a radius that's perpendicular to a chord, it chops the chord in half and it chops the arc in half. So if this whole piece is 30, each of those are 15. The radius is 25, so I know that FG is a radius since it connects the center to an edge. And I am looking for, what's it say? Oh, it says find the measure of FL. So I want to know the measure of FL, so I just work with that Pythagorean theorem right there. X squared plus 15 squared equals 25 squared. And I go through and I work that out. I get x squared is 400, square root, I get x is 20. And then if I want to know the length of FL, that actually is the length of FL, which is x. So FL is 20. Okay, 36. Okay, I'm told that angle CAD is 32. Because I was told that was a 32-degree angle, I know that this arc is twice as much. Remember, when an angle's vertex is on the circle, that angle equals half of the arc. So if 32 is half of this arc, that means the arc is 64. So that's where the 64 came from. When I was told that the measure of angle BCA was 40, then I know that this angle's vertex is on the circle, so this angle is half the arc. So 40 is half of this, so this arc is 80. We were also told that the measure of arc BC is 92, so that's where that came from. And then of course I could go from there and find the measure of arc AD. I actually just didn't, oh yeah, that's what we wanted to know, was to find the measure of arc AD. Sorry about that. So I add these 3 numbers together, the 80, the 92, the 64, and I subtract that from 360, and that makes 124. Okay, and then the last problem. I have angle X here, and its vertex is outside the circle. So I know that since it's outside, the angle is half a big arc minus little arc. The big arc is this big piece of the circle that connects the sides of the angles, so 126, minus this little arc that connects the sides of the angles. So I add the 42, the 126, the 107. I take that away from from 360, and then that made that arc 85. So it's half of 126 minus 85. Work it out, and you get 20.5. I wish you all the best on your 6 weeks test. I hope you do great. Thank you very much.